Alright guys, we got another pretty good find here from eBay. I thought the price was pretty decent on this one. It's a iPhone 14 and I felt like I got it for a pretty good deal. And we got the cable here, and this one was from Gadget Pickup here. This one was a eBay one, and let's see, it's supposed to be in very good condition. Just to show you guys what a very good condition phone should look like. And let's see, I had a few comparisons for the iPhone 14, so I said I'll pick it up for you guys. Alright, let's see. This one was packaged really nicely. I really like this. Alright, so this one looks pretty good. It looks almost brand new, actually. I would say this is excellent condition. I don't see... Okay, now I do see there's a tiny little scuff right there. It's very small. I don't even know if you guys can really see it. Try to focus the camera. You guys can see that. Yeah, it's very tiny. But besides that, let's see if we have any deep scratches. Let me wipe it down. Deep scratches. No, there's a hairline scratch right. I can get the camera to focus. There's a hairline scratch. I don't know if you guys can see it because of the light. A small little. It's pretty clean though. There's one small little scratch right there. But besides that, this is extremely clean. So I would say this is, you know, pretty much as described. Not necessarily excellent condition. Excellent on the, well, because we got this little scratch right here, but this is close to excellent, honestly. So that's pretty good. So very good condition, I think is about right for the description here. But I think it's slightly a little bit better. I mean, that tiny little scratch you can barely see. Before we look at the hardware, let's actually check out the price. So you can find these for around 400 bucks. I got this one for $375. And this is a unlocked version, and I would say that's what you want to pay for this phone. Hardware wise, it pretty much looks like, you know, the rest of the iPhones basically. And it still has a very nice modern design, doesn't look outdated. You have a glossy back, which looks really nice on here because you don't really see the fingerprints on this purple color. You can kind of see it on the Apple logo a little bit. But I do really like the design on here. It is kind of a, you know, more of a boxier phone for sure here, but it definitely is easy to hold as well too. So I do overall like the design here. It's IP68 dust and water resistant as well too. So let's go ahead and actually talk about this display. So the thing about the displays on the older iPhones is that Apple waited a very long time to, you know, take away the notch. So even on the 14 model that came out in 2022, it still had a notch, and they didn't get rid of it to the later iPhones here with the dynamic island. I don't think it doesn't look terrible. The screen doesn't look terrible. Your eyes kind of don't notice it after a while, but it is something that does look a little bit dated here. And you do have a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display here. It does have the Dolby Vision 1200 nits peak brightness, and it is a 1170 by 2532 resolution display. So it does look pretty sharp, and it's 460 for the PPI. So I actually don't have any problems with the display outside of the notch looking a little bit outdated for me. And this phone does not have the 120 hertz or even 90 hertz. It's just a 60 hertz panel. Now it is a very smooth 60 hertz, but it does also feel just a bit outdated in that regard. But the hilarious thing is that the iPhone 16 does not have a 120 hertz display. So I would say if you have a 14, you really don't need to upgrade to a 16 because it's gonna look and feel extremely similar. Now the 14 does make for a pretty good gaming device still in 2024. Feels really great, and it's not really overheating or anything like that, and you can still play pretty much most games at really good settings. It's not a slow phone by any means, and it feels just as fast as an iPhone 16, honestly. So if you are gaming, I would say if you're more of a competitive gamer, you can get an older Pro iPhone with the 120 hertz, like a 13 Pro, that'll give you those, you know, faster frame rates. But if you're just a casual gamer, this is perfectly fine. Just coming in here, playing PUBG, 60 frames, Call of Duty, 60 frames is perfectly fine, and everything works really well. And like I said, unlike the older iPhones, this remains relatively cool for the most part. So it's not like it's overheating or anything like that. So overall performance wise, I think this is pretty solid here, and you guys can see the Geekbench scores here if you want to compare them. And here are your Geekbench scores that you'll be working with. So it just has a very powerful chipset here, this Apple A15 chip. Now the base model is 128 gigs of internal storage and 6 gigs of RAM. So unfortunately, this phone is not going to get the Apple AI software, so the Apple Intelligence, which is unfortunate, which is probably done on purpose from Apple because they could put it on here, but this doesn't have 8 gigs of RAM. So I think it was premeditated, to sell you up on the newer models here. But the AI stuff is not really all that impressive to me anyway, so I don't think you guys are really missing out. So if you are looking at the 14, I wouldn't, stress about the AI stuff because it's not really that useful. I've been trying it in the beta. These speakers at max volume. So these are actually some very good sounding speakers, especially for the size of this device. Very good bass quality, very clean sounding speakers. So yeah, they sound really good. As far as software updates go, because that was another question, this launched with iOS 16, so it'll get plenty of software updates. I believe Apple has like a 6-year span on updates, so you'll get, the next iOS update for sure. That's something that you don't really have to worry about. Alright, so as far as the cameras go, I think this is the best thing about the iPhone 14. It has that look that I really like as far as the skin tone, the selfie camera, that kind of like the 13 had series, of which I really like the cameras on the 13. This kind of has a similar look. It's got a 12 megapixel standard and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. This does fantastic in low light as well too. The video was really solid, 4K 24 through 60. You have a 12 megapixel selfie cam that shoots in 4K 60. I absolutely love the shots on here. It does a great job with pretty much everything at this price point. I think it looks fantastic for the price that you're paying at $400. Low light photography is awesome. The video is really good, great dynamic range. The only thing this phone is kind of missing compared to something like a Galaxy S23, I guess you can compare it to, is a telephoto lens. The zoom photography is pretty weak on here. It only goes up to like 5 times, which is not great. And besides that, I mean, these are awesome cameras, guys. Alright guys, so luckily this phone actually came, even though it's a used phone, it actually came with 100% battery health, which I was really impressed by. It's really, you get kind of lucky on eBay if you kind of can score these original, batteries with 100% battery health. I'm inclined to believe that this person did not really even use the phone at all. So it's really nice that this phone was just in such great condition here. So we got a really good deal on the battery, and the battery life on the 14 is going to be great as well too. Just playing with it today and watching it drain, and just downloading and playing games and stuff like that, it's doing absolutely fine. So it definitely is looking like an all-day phone for sure. And the battery is a 3279 milliamp. We have wireless charging, we have the MagSafe stuff on here, and then we also have your just a standard wireless charging. I absolutely love this phone at this price point, especially if you're an iPhone fan. If you already have a 14, stick with your 14. You don't really need a 16. And yeah, so let me know what you guys think.